Thanks, Tara.
Hi, everybody. It is Tara Boothby and Ellis Chan, and we are just taking a few minutes of our time today to talk about self-care and making our self-talk a priority. So how's it going, Ellis?
It's going well. This is our second take on this because I just had to redirect my child over here. And I think that's kind of the segue into what we're talking about over here and the idea about taking care of ourselves, filling our bucket, filling our cup. I think filling our bucket is a common one. It's a term that's used a lot in elementary schools. There is a storybook that talks about that, but I think like especially as I was just talking about right now as a parent, it's something that I run into a lot with relationships, whether that's like parents or friends or romantic relationships. One of the things that we often do is we try to fill other people's buckets first. And especially in a parent role, we often think that our job protect, to help nurture, to help foster growth and provide a sense of safety. But the problem is that we're constantly giving, and eventually we run dry. And that's especially true at a time like this when we're being hit with multiple stressors right now and we're trying to balance multiple things. Like in this year of 2020, I don't think anyone's new to the idea of the multiple stressors we've been dealing with. So I think an important thing is that while it's important to fill other people's cups, and so filling a cup might be like giving emotional support, giving physical time, quality time together. It might be acts of service, like you're trying to support them, helping them. Maybe it's you are prepping school lunch tonight instead of your spouse, and you're staying up trying to do that. It could be something small like that, or spending the extra hour with your kid. But all of those things take energy from us. It takes time and away from us. And then so the end result is that when we're constantly pouring our cup to fill other people's cups, is that our cup is empty. And I think that sometimes what I run, people often feel guilty when they try it, when someone says you need to fill your own cup, and it feels almost selfish that they're taking that time for themselves rather than putting that time and energy into others.
Yeah, I love that. That's nice. It was interesting. I had this little exchange with my son the other day, and he was sitting close to me and he smelled good. And I said, "Oh, you smell good." And I noticed this little tiny curl in his lips, like it was filling his cup. And I had this moment thinking of how many times, especially with little boys, we say, "Oh, you stinker," or "Come here, stinky," those sorts of things. And I thought, it's like just that little noticing and how valuable that was. And then when I think about my own self-talk, and I'm sure we all relate to this, it's like, how many times do I call myself a little stinker instead of taking those moments to find those things that are aromatic about myself, those positive things, and this idea of filling our own bucket. And I like this idea of what would you say to someone else? Like those things that I say to me, those terrible things I would never say to somebody else. Yeah, so it's a very powerful thing about how do we motivate our own self-talk. I'm not sure, I guess for you, I like you using the 5 love language idea. So those different things, how can we do that with ourselves? Positive words, acts of service towards ourselves, even physical touch towards ourselves, quality time with ourselves, and then gifts, my personal favorite. So there's these things of like, okay, how am I filling up my own self-worth? Yeah, that's beautiful, Alice.
Yeah, I think it's something that I like because when it gives you something kind of tangible to work with when you think of those 5 love languages, because I'm like, how do I fill my cup? How do I fill other people's cups? And when I'm trying to fill my cup, especially that dialogue you talked about, I think that's a really important piece, because sometimes if you actually really dig down and look at what you're saying to yourself, our inner critic sometimes is often like one of the worst bullies that you could have. It's saying that like you're selfish, you don't deserve this, like your kids deserve that time more. that's that thing that I sometimes I'll have people and myself even write out what you're saying
Right.
about yourself, because often those words are far worse than you actually even realize, and that emotional component, it hurts and you feel guilty because you're saying these things that are really tough. And so when you see these concrete words, you probably never would actually say that to me. It's very rare that I get someone coming to me because they have troubles calling people names. It's usually because they're calling themselves names internally.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it reminds me of another piece that I'll do a sequel to this one on the fruits of the spirit. I don't have them memorized, so I can't bring them up right now, but I'll do a little mini extension with this one. Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things to consider here. Things like writing down some of our negative self-talk, slowing down to hear what we're saying, and then taking moments to diligently actually say and do positive things just for us, for no other reason, but just to honor who we are. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love that idea. And sometimes I'll tell people, I'm like, what can you do that is selfish? Because it's, the idea is like, this is something just for your cup.
Yeah.
Selfish. Fill your cup so you can help other people.
Exactly. I will say, in order to be selfless, we need to first be selfish. You know, there's a quote, a very famous quote, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And that's what we're really talking about. And people know when we're pouring from empty.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think if you can notice lots of things happening behind me, I think my child's cup is empty right now.
You need some daddy love.
Yeah. So I think this might be quality time that the cup is empty, and so lots of things are flashing behind me and noises are happening, because it's a plea for like, fill my cup.
Yeah, she's sending some clues. You know, it's not quite a miscue, which would be a whole other segment. She's just sending a few clues of like, hello, hello. All right, thanks, Ellis. So we'll pause right there and say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.